Shalom, and welcome back to day 94 of reading the Bible in 52 weeks. Woo! Dearly Father, thank you so much for today. Please bless us. Amen. Let's go. And today we'll be reading 1 Kings 4 through 6. King Solomon reigned over all Israel, and these were his officials: Arazah, son of Zadok, priest; Elipharpha and Adijah, sons of Shishba, secretaries; Josaphat, son of Aladad, court historian; Berian, son of Jedidah, in charge of the army; Zadok and Abiathar, priest; Adazah, son of Nathan, in charge of the deputies; Zubah, son of Nathan, a priest and advisor to the king; Abishat, in charge of the palace; and Amiam, son of Obadiah, in charge of forced labor. Solomon had 12 deputies for all Israel. They provided food for the king and his household. Each one made provision for one out of the year. These were their names: Ben-Hut to the hill county of Ephraim, Beel-Deket and Mosgat, Shabaim, Beth-Shemesh and Elam, Beth-Hanan, Ben-Hesed and Abibath, Hathasakath and the whole land of Hariar, Ben-Abadad and the Naphath, for Tadath, daughter of Solomon, was his wife. Benaniah, son of Aladad, and Takanach, Megiddo, and all Beth-Shem, which is beside Zathan, below Jezreel, from Beth-Shin to Abel Mehalah, as far as the other side of Jochanan, Ben-Geber and Ramath Galad. And he had reigned Argob, which is in Bashan, 60 great cities with walls and bronze bars; Abadab, son of Iddo, and Mananam, Abimaz, and Naphtali. He also had Mary, daughter of Solomon, Basemath, Bana, son of Hushai, and Asher, and Beloth; Josaphat, son of Parah, and Issachar; Shimi, son of Elah, and Benjamin; Geber, son of Uri, in the land of Gilead, the country of King Shaman and Amorites, and the king Og of Bashan. There was one deputy in the land of Judah. Judah and Israel were as numerous as their sand by the sea, and they were eating, drinking, and rejoicing. Solomon ruled all the kingdoms from the Euphrates River in the land of the Philistines and as far as the border of Egypt. They offered tribute and served Solomon all the days of his life. Solomon's provisions for one day were 180 bushels of fine flour and 360 bushels of meal, 10 fattened cattle, 20 range cattle, and 100 sheep and goats, besides deer, gazelles, roebucks, and pen-fed poultry. For he had dominion over everything west of the Euphrates, from Taphabash of Gaza and all over the kings west of the Euphrates, and he had peace on all the surrounding borders. Throughout Solomon's reign, Judah and Israel lived in safety from Dan to Beersheba, each person under his own vine and his own fig tree. Solomon had 40,000 sales of horses for his chariots and 12,000 horsemen. Each of those deputies for a month in turn provided food for the King Solomon and for everyone who came to King Solomon's table. They neglected nothing. Each man brought the barley and the straw for the chariot teams and the other horses, and required place according to his assignment. God gave Solomon wisdom, very great insight and understanding, as vast as the sand on the seashore. Solomon's wisdom was greater than the wisdom of all people of the east, greater than all the wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than anyone, wiser than Ethan and Ezra and Hezman, Chalcol, and Darda, sons of Makah, and reputation extended to all the surrounding nations. Solomon spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs numbered 1,005. He spoke about trees from the cedar of Lebanon to the hesbosh growing out of the wall. He also spoke about animals, birds, reptiles, and fish. Eshamaris of all people, sent by every king on earth who had heard his wisdom, came to listen to Solomon's wisdom. King Hiram of Tyre sent his emissaries to Solomon when he heard that he had been anointed anointed king in his father's place, for Hiram had always been friends with David. Solomon sent his message to Hiram, "You know my father David was not able to build a temple for the name of the Lord his God. This was because of all the warfare all around him until the Lord put his enemies under his feet. The Lord my God has now given me rest on every side. There is no empty or misfortunate. So I plan to build a temple for the name of the Lord my God, according to what the Lord promised my father David. I will put your son on the throne in your place, and he will build a temple for my name. Therefore command that cedars from Lebanon be cut down for me. My servants will be with your servants, and I will pay your servants wages according to whatever you say, for you know that not a man among us knows how to cut timber like the Synanim." When Hiram heard Solomon's words, he rejoiced greatly and said, "Blessed be the Lord today. He has given David a wise son to be over his great people." Then Hiram sent to reply Solomon, saying, "I have heard your message. I will do everything you want regarding the cedar and cypress timber. My servants will bring the logs down from the Lebanon to the sea, and I will make them into rafts to go by sea to place you indicate. I will break them apart where you can make ways. You then can meet my needs, providing my household with food." So Hiram provided Solomon with all the cedar and cypress timber he wanted, and Solomon provided Hiram with 120,000 bushels of wheat as food for his household and 120,000 gallons of oil from crushed olives. Solomon did this for Hiram year after year. The Lord gave Solomon wisdom as he had promised him. There was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. The king Solomon drafted forced laborers from all Israel. The labor force numbered 30,000 men. He sent 10,000 to Lebanon each month in ships. 1 month they were in Lebanon, 2 months they were at home. Adoniram was in charge of the forced laborers. Solomon had 70,000 porters and 80,000 stonecutters in the mountains, not including his 3,300 deputies in charge of the work. They supervised the people doing the work. The king commanded them to carry large, costly stones to lay foundation of the temple with dressed stones. So Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders, along with the Gibarites, quarried the stone and prepared the timber of stone for the temple's construction. Solomon began to build the temple for the Lord in the 480th year, when the Israelites came out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of his reign over Israel. In the month of Ziv, which is the 2nd month, the temple of the king Solomon built for the Lord was 90 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 40 feet high. The portico in front of the temple sanctuary was 30 feet long, extending across the temple's width, and 15 feet deep in front of the temple. He also made windows of bevel frames for the temple. He then built a chambered structure along the temple wall, encircling the walls of the temple, that is the sanctuary of the inner sanctuary, and he made side chambers all around. The lowest chamber was 7.5 feet wide, the middle was 9 feet wide, and the third was 10.5 feet wide. He also provided offset edges of the temple all around outside that, so nothing would be inserted into the temple walls. The temple's constructions were finished stones cut at the quarry, so that no hammer, chisel, or any iron tool was heard in the temple while it was being built. The door for the lowest side chamber was on the right side of the temple. They went up a stairway in the middle chamber, and from the middle to the third. When he finished building the temple, he paneled it with boards and planks of cedar. He built the chambers along the entire temple, joined the temple with cedar beams. Each story was 7.5 feet high. The word of the Lord came to Solomon. "As for the temple you are building, if you walk into my statutes, observe the ordinance, and keep all my commandments by walking in them, I will fulfill my promise to you, which I made to your father David. I will dwell among the Israelites and not abandon my people Israel." When Solomon finished building the temple, he paneled the interior temple walls with cedar boards from the temple floor to the surface of the ceiling. He overlaid the interior with wood. He also overlaid the floor with cypress boards. Then he lined 30 feet at the rear of the temple with cedar boards from the floor to the surface of the ceiling. And he built the interior and inner sanctuary, the most holy place, the temple that is. The sanctuary in front of the most holy place was 60 feet long. The cedar paneling inside the temple was carved with ornamental gourds and flower blossoms. Everything was cedar, not a stone could be seen. He repaired the inner sanctuary inside the temple to put in the ark of the Lord's covenant there. The interior of the sanctuary was 30 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 30 feet high. He overlaid it with pure gold. He also overlaid the cedar altar. Next, Solomon overlaid the interior of the temple with pure gold, and he hung gold chains across the front of the inner sanctuary and overlaid it with gold. So he added the gold overlay to the entire temple until everything was completely finished, including the entire altar that belongs to the inner sanctuary. In the inner sanctuary, he made 2 cherubim 15 feet high out of olive wood. One wing of the first cherubim was 7.5 feet long, and the other wing was 7.5 feet long. The wingspan was 15 feet from tip to tip. The second cherubim was also 15 feet. Both cherubim had the same size and shape. The first cherubim height was 15 feet and was the second cherubim's. Then he put the cherubim inside the inner temple. Since their wings were spread out, the first one's wings touched the wall, while the second cherubim wing touched the other wall. In the middle of the temple, their wings were touching wing to wing. He also overlaid the cherubim with gold. He carved all the surrounding temple walls with carved engravings, cherubim, palm trees, and flower blossoms. In the inner and outer sanctuaries, he overlaid the temple floor with gold in both the inner and outer sanctuaries. For the entrance to the inner sanctuary, he made olive wood doors. The pillars of the door posts were 5-sided. The 2 doors were made of olive wood. He carved cherubim, palm trees, and flower blossoms on them and overlaid them with gold, hammering gold over the cherubim and palm trees. In the same way, he made 4-sided olive wood door posts for the sanctuary entrance. The 2 doors were made of cypress wood. The first door had 2 folding sides, and the second door had 2 folding panels. He carved cherubim, palm trees, and flower blossoms on them and overlaid them with gold, flat evenly over the carving. He built the inner courtyard with 3 rows of dressed stone and a row of trimmed cedar beams. The foundation of the Lord's temple was laid in Solomon's 4th year in the month of Ziv. In the 11th year in the month of Beoy, which is the 8th month, the temple was completed in every detail according to every specification. So he built it in 7 years.